Hello and welcome, I am a speech synthesizer, and in this video I will introduce you to one of my ancestors. In the 18th century, the Honorable Mr. Wolfgang von Kempelen built a body that finally made it possible for my ancestors to say more than just yes or no all the time. Let's take a look at what this machine looked like and how it worked. 1791, Wolfgang von Kempelen published a book about his 20-year studies about human speech. Mechanism of human speech, with the description of a speaking machine. How to build it, and how to use it. 1. Human speech. Wolfgang von Kempelen recognized that human speech is not a series from sounds of individual letters. He learned that the anatomy of the human speech system, oral nasal cavity, tongue and glottis, is essential for the formation of words. At this time, speaking machines had already been developed, but these machines could only pronounce individual letters. These machines failed to reproduce words, or could only produce a limited word stem. Kempelen also managed to generate some letters, A, E, O, U, P, M, L, with a machine organ. But he also failed to combine these letters into words. Learn more about Kempelen's first experiments in video 1 of 2. The speaking machine construction. Kempelen tried to build a machine based on the physics of the human speech system. Kempelen names 5 main parts of his machine. Part 1. The glottis, voice. 1 piece of wood, tuning wire, ivory tongue, slightly curved at the end, leather cover for a softer sound underneath the ivory reed and on the piece of wood. Part 2. Wind chest. Wind chest without cover. Cutout for the voice tube. Leather seal at the cutout. Round hole as bellows connection. Figure 2. Additional boxes. 4 inside the wind chest, with opening and closing mechanism. Figure point 3. Card paper cover at the front and back of the attachment. A leather seal in between. Figure point 4. Adapted flute that is inserted into a tube. Buttons on the cover can open and close the air supply to these pipes. Mechanics for producing R. A spring pushes the lever up. A rod reaches up to the tongue, but only touches it when the lever is pushed. The wind chest represents the thorax chest. Part 3. The bellows. Bellows on a stand, to place the machine on a table. counterweight to pull the bellows back up and fill it with air. The bellows is screwed onto the frame. Raise for the connection of the wind chest. Figure 2, acoustic box. Fixed to the frame. Dust protection, and the sounds are directed through the holes in the top cover. This setup is very similar to Kempelen's first experiments. The bellows are operated with the right elbow. The bellows represent the lungs for a human speech system. Part 4. The mouth. Individual parts of the mouth. No teeth, no tongue. No soft palate. Mouth parts joined together. Tube for pressure balance. Direct connection between mouth and wind chest prevent the reed from resounding. Additional bellows for explosion sounds. Connected to the mouthpiece by a tube. The bellows fills when the mouth and nose are closed. The spring generates a tension. The tension is released when the mouth or nose is fast opened. The mouth. Part 5. The nose. Extension tubes. The nostrils can be closed individually with the fingers. These are the 5 main components of the speaking machine, described by Kempelen. Kempelen has tried to build a speaking machine based on the human anatomy, with a lung and a thorax, with a nose and a mouth, and with a stop-reed tongue, made of ivory, as a human glottis. Combined into a speaking machine. (3) Operating instructions. The right hand is placed over the wind chest. Index and middle finger covers the nostrils. The nostrils are only opened for M or N. The thumb of the right hand presses the R button. The thumb of the right hand presses the SCH and J button. The little finger, or ring finger, presses the S and Z button. The left hand covers the mouth. All vowels are made with the left hand. The mouth must be closed for all silent and wind sounds. For wind sounds with voice, the mouth is slightly open. The right elbow operates the bellows. For a whole word, the air must be supplied without interruption. (4) Speaking. How to generate letters with this machine. The letters can be divided into 3 groups. Group 1. Letters that are produced with the mouth part, oral cavity. A. Nose closed, mouth open. E. hollow hand, nose closed, the hand placed at the bottom of the mouth. Leave the hand open about an zoll at the top of the mouth. O, hollow hand, nose closed, the hand placed at the bottom of the mouth. Leave the hand open about half an zoll at the top of the mouth. U, nose closed, flat hand, hand not completely closed. I, flat hand, nose closed, mouth closed. Small opening at the lowest joint of the index finger. The pressure on the bellows is strong. According to Kempelen, this German sounds are located between the vowels and are easy to find with practice. L, nose closed. The thumb of the left hand is placed in the middle of the mouth. M, the mouth closed, both nostrils open. N, the mouth closed, one nostril open. 4P, B, T, D, G, and K, Kempelen uses an additional bellows. This technique is not yet fully developed in the machine at this time. According to Kempelen, these sounds require an explosion of air. In order to produce these sounds, air pressure is built up in the oral cavity, which unloads all at once, resulting in these sounds. Kempelen tried to achieve this effect with the help of an additional bellows. P, nose and mouth closed. Pressure is built up. The additional bellows fills with wind. The hand is quickly pulled away from the mouth. All the air is released at once. B, B is produced like P, but with the mouth slightly open, to let the voice resonate for BA, B, or by. TDKG. Kempelen writes that he produces T, D, and K, G in a similar way as P and B, and integrates them into the words. He says, the childlike voice of the machine helps and tricks us into interpreting the P as T, D, K, or G. In the book, Kempelen gives construction tips how the machine could be improved to produce T, D, and K, G even more accurately. Group 2. Letters that are produced with additional mechanical parts. Kempelen has designed an additional mechanism for S and Z. S. Mouth and nose closed, the key is pressed with the ring or little finger of the right hand. By pressing a key, air is passed through the wind chest into the pipe. When the button is released, a spring closes the opening. Z. Nose closed, mouth slightly open. The button is pressed with the ring or little finger of the right hand. Has also built its own mechanism for SCH and J. He adapted a recorder for children and put it into a tubby on the outside. SCH. Mouth and nose closed. The key is pressed down with the thumb of the right hand. J. Nose closed, mouth slightly open. The button is pressed down with the thumb of the right hand. Mechanism for generating an R sound. By the vibration of the tongue that pushes a pin. R. Nose closed. The mouth is already open for the next vowel. The button is pressed with the thumb of the right hand. Group 3. Letters produced with the wind chest. F, V, W. Flap mechanism that has been removed. F. Mouth and nose closed. More pressure on the bellows. Air escapes through the leaky parts of the wind chest, resulting in F sound. V. Nose closed, mouth slightly open. More pressure on the bellows. Air escapes through the leaky parts of the wind chest, results in V sound. W. Nose closed. Mouth open more than with V. Less pressure on the bellows. Air escapes through the leaky parts of the wind chest, results in W sound. H and CH are also produced with the wind chest. H. Nose closed, mouth open. Light pressure on the bellows. CH. Nose closed, mouth open. Slightly strong pressure on the bellows. All three groups are now complete. Five. Kempelen's No. 1. A first variant of Kempelen's speaking machine was published as early as 1784. The drawing is said to have been created in cooperation with Kempelen. There is a short description. A. A toothed wheel with a small hook for pitch adjustment. B. Key for register change. C. Two-side keys. D. Cross key. The machine is said to have spoken the following words during a performance. In a whiny equals comical tone of a 6-year-old child.
Ma chère maman, aimez-moi, je vous aime de tout mon cœur. Oh, ma chère mère, on m'a fait du mal, etc.
Words after the second or third attempt: Mississippi, Constantinople, Arterres. Six. Replicas. Probably the oldest surviving replica of a Kempelen speaking machine can be found in the Deutsches Museum in Munich, dated from 1800. It is not yet clear whether this replica was possibly made by Kempelen himself. One can see that some of the improvements suggested by Kempelen, in the 1791 book, were attempted in this variant. In 1835, Sir Charles Wheatstone made a replica of the Kempelen speaking machine. Wheatstone's replica is probably still preserved in the Wheatstone collection at King's College London. You can see very nicely how Wheatstone has perfectly realized the description of this pipe. One can recognize similarities with the variant in the Deutsches Museum, München. Wheatstone was a scientist, inventor, and also a maker of musical instruments, and had been involved with the newly emerging free reed technique in Europe since 1828. In 1828 he developed an aeolian. In 1829 he invented several variants of the symphonium, with free reed technique. until he finally registered the patent for the English concertina, in 1844, with free reed technique. If Wheatstone also experimented with a free reed in his replica of the speaking machine, Kempelen used a stop reed, I was unfortunately unable to find out. Some sources report that the speaking machine also inspired Alexander Graham Bell. '7. Speaking machine after effects. 1828, Robert Willis was studying human speech, the free reed technique, and the speaking machine of Kratzenstein and Kempelen. Willis on the speaking machine by Kratzenstein and Kempelen. The only attempts which have a claim to a scientific character are those of Kratzenstein and Kempelen. Willis sets up experiments, for which he uses two different adapters, that he equips with free reeds. Kempelen used a stop reed for his speaking machine. Now Willis is trying to verify Kempelen's description of the hand position, for producing the vowels
A, E, I, U,
with his free reed adapter. Kempelen's explanations are confirmed, and lead to further experiments for Willis. Kempelen was a pioneer of speech synthesis. His machine is considered to be the first with which whole words could be generated. His speaking machine is the first, fundamentally functional construction of speech synthesis ever, confirmed by later replicas and analyses. Without Kempelen's invention, I would probably still be sitting in a box with my ancestors, predicting the future by saying yes or no. Thank you for the synthetic speech, Wolfgang.